Ladies and gentlemen, this is $300 US. And this is my entire gaming budget for the year of 2020. My primary hobby I spend my free time on is playing video games. I love video games a lot. These are all the games I own, and that's just the physical copies. And yet, these are all the video games I haven't played. And that's just the physical copies. With a new decade, it's a new me, so this year I'm cutting down on my spending habits and instead trying to save as much as I can. Any amount of money I spend comes out of my metaphorical budget. New game purchases, used game purchases, subscription services, DLC, microtransaction, hardware. If it's a purchase relating to playing video games in some way, it comes out of this budget. I'm also not including things like sales tax and just rounding off to simple numbers because I'm just trying to keep this process as simple as possible. I thought about implementing a certain rule where if I sell a game, I can use that money to invest back into my budget, but I'll let comments decide if that's cheating or not. But I also never really sell games anyway since I'm something of a collector, so who knows if this will even come up. $300 may seem like a weird number to pick with next-gen consoles about to drop, but this is a strategic move I made to not get into next-gen too early. As someone who's been an early adopter in the past, it usually isn't worth investing right away. Either way, I think that's all the groundwork I need to set up for this video, so let's talk about my progress update for the month of January. Thankfully, January was a pretty easy start to the year as far as gaming went. I went on 2 back-to-back trips, one to Chile and another to Puerto Rico. So because of that, I didn't have a lot of time nor a lot of options to play games. I decided to take my 3DS with me. Sure, it's not the fancy new tech, but I'm still not really comfortable taking my Switch far from the house yet. Also, my mom said she wanted to keep playing Ring Fit Adventure while I was gone, so I hope she made some gains. I had an 8-hour flight down to Santiago, so I thought it'd be a perfect time to play Fire Emblem Awakening. Yeah, great way to start a year of playing new games, by playing the same game I've been playing for the last 5 years. I started a Lunatic Classic playthrough about a week before the trip, but only because I realized that doing a Lunatic Casual playthrough only unlocks Lunatic Plus on Casual. I mean, I never intend to play Lunatic Plus anyway, but I at least want to know the options there. 6 hours later, I get to the final boss, but I stop there. It came down to a dice roll, and I just wanted to get as little sleep as I could. Though I did manage to finish it at the airport, waiting for my next layover. Final verdict? Don't play Awakening on Lunatic. It's a horribly balanced difficulty, and also in means when they finished it is that they've used Frederick until they could get DLC to grind endlessly. Instead, I found other ways I liked challenging myself in Awakening. I started an Iron Man run on my Twitch channel this month as well. It's something I've actually never done before, but it's been a lot of fun, despite the unfortunate losses I've suffered already. Even then, my 3DS was virtually worthless on the trip. Only time I had to play it was on buses and planes. And even when I wanted to charge it, all of the outlets I encountered in South America refused to, and I even had the adapter, so what the frick. Ironically, it was only until I got on my plane back to the USA I finally found a plug suitable for charging my 3DS again. I felt kinda bad trying to play Fire Emblem again, so I decided to officially crack into my backlog for this year, with Bravely Default. Finally playing this game really takes me back. I used to play the crap out of the demo when I was still in high school, so this has always been on the back of my mind since giving it a shot. It's been nothing short of fantastic so far. I'm really enjoying the battle mechanics, and of course the job system. I'm a little worried about the late game where people says it starts to fall off, but I'm also oddly curious to see how badly it tanks. There was one game I did miss more than I expected to, that game being Shovel Knight. With the recent expansion for King of Cards, I thought about how I would want to do another playthrough. And man, I could also really go for another round of Spectre Knight right now. I had a little time in the mainland US before eventually departing for Puerto Rico, so I did have some time to get it on 3DS if I wanted. It would be super convenient. Even if I'm unable to track down a physical copy, I could get it digitally on the eShop. But then I thought about it. A new copy of Shovel Knight costs about $40 now. And even if I could find a used copy, that would still be a pretty significant chunk out of my imposed $300 budget. Is it worth it to spend that money on a game I already own on at least 5 different platforms? Obviously the meme answer is yes, but if I wanted to take this personal challenge of betterment seriously, I simply can't justify doing this. So I resisted the temptation and allowed myself to try new experiences down the line. Thankfully, that's the core of what this challenge is about, so I do feel a little proud for having learned this lesson this early on. So with my constant traveling, I was hoping I could avoid spending any money this month. But there was one game that came out at the tail end of last year I had to make an exception for. that being Vestaria Saga. What may seem like a poor Fire Emblem clone actually has more credit behind it than you'd think. This is actually an indie project led by Fire Emblem series creator Shozo Kaga, and this is the first time one of his games he directly worked on has been officially released in English. I haven't played either Tearing Saga or Berwick Saga, so I don't know if this game really does iterate on those specifically, but when I get around to them, it might be a fun mini retrospective series, since my FE retro will be long finished. This is ironically the closest game I've played to a traditional Fire Emblem, even with Three Houses recently coming out. But it's not a game that I can easily recommend. It's definitely a small budget title and takes Kaga jank to a new level. Honestly, it wasn't really worth the purchase at full price. Since it cost $20, that's how much I have to tick down the counter. When I got back home, I was really kicking to play Resident Evil 4 again. I started a playthrough way long ago, and I was thinking about it again during my travels, since I was a foreigner in Spanish-speaking areas. I am Chris the Redfields, after all. So I closed out an existing playthrough in the HD version I started a year ago, and it was a blast. Immediately I started another playthrough in New Game Plus. Not satisfied, I did another playthrough in Professional, where I died a lot. I thought that surely now I must be feeling kinda tired of the game. 2 back-to-back playthroughs after already finishing the game twice beforehand? I figured that would be time to stop playing and start something else. So then I did Separate Ways. I mean, I wasn't really all that impressed by it, even though it was pretty fun to see what Ada was up to during the main story. I kinda wish there was more content to fill in the gaps in the story, but considering it was just a side mode from the PS2 version, I don't really mind that much. Really, I just wanted to get the secret costumes and the Chicago typewriter. So I started another New Game Plus file to try and unlock them, with the special PRL 412 that I unlocked on my Professional playthrough. And when I thought that this addiction of mine couldn't possibly get any worse, that what reason do I have to play this game again? I played this game again. On the GameCube version. Because I miss the Cube controller. I can't use that on PlayStation 4. I was addicted to Resident Evil 4. It was really bad, but so much fun to revisit. Every part of this game was a thrill to play, and I just kept having fun at each section. Hours of each day corroded away by the desire to keep playing this game. I tried to play other games, but nothing was helping. Every moment I tried to play something new felt like a moment I wasn't experiencing RE4. My boy Byleth got into Smash, a character from one of my most played games of last year, a character I wanted playable in that game, and a character I personally enjoy playing now that he's out. But poor Byleth, he still can't compete to Resident Evil 4. If you somehow haven't played this game yet, I seriously implore you to do so. I've had so much fun, and it truly is one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion at least. And also, I bought the Cuphead Mii costume. So that's 75 cents down. And thus, that is all there is to the month of January, so tune in next month where I'll give another progress report about my updates, if I have any. If I'm not buying any new games, then I'm surely playing some old games, so feel free to check by every month, see how I'm doing.